The Holy Scriptures say that one of the great vocations of a meaningful life or meaningful existence is to participate in the work of healing the brokenhearted.
All right.
This work is a gifting of the gracious Spirit of God that He gave to those who would serve the cause of love and justice. In fact, in the Christian scriptures, the word healing comes from the Greek word that is Trinitarian in its application.
All right.
Aphesis is the word. It means to either cure miraculously, or it can mean to remove the cause that's causing the sickness, or it can mean to create, or it can mean to bring the heart back to life. The rallying cry of this convention, and all of the clergy that are here this morning as you pray with me, our cry and beyond this convention and beyond this convention, all the way through this election season, is if we ever needed to vote, we sure do need to vote now. In fact, it's even beyond this election season, because we're working on an effort that in these southern states, the South is no longer solid.
That's right.
Demographics have changed.
Yeah.
If you up 5% of the black vote in any southern state, if you get 5% of the white vote to vote their future and not their fears,
Yes.
you can fundamentally change what's going on in the South. If labor and civil rights and the faith community works together, not just now, but over the next 2 and 3 election cycles, if we get 4 organizers per electoral votes in North Carolina, that's 60 people working for the next 4 years, working in the white community, working in the black community, working in the Latino community, pushing a progressive civil rights agenda. We can shift the South, and if the South shifts, the nation shifts. Amen.
Amen.
And so we raise this cry. If we ever needed to vote, we sure do need to vote now. Because we know there is work that we must work. We raise this cry because we know that we're in a ballot for the ballot, a war, a struggle, a clash of ideas and ideology between regressive desires to take us backwards versus a progressive agenda that desires to keep us moving toward a more perfect union.
Yeah.
Reality is, sometimes the media even misses it, not so much about Democrats and Republicans, but it's about what do we believe America promised?
Yeah.
What's at the heart of who we are as Americans? It's whether or not we will have a vision of justice, a multiracial, anti-racist, anti-poverty agenda like the one promoted by the NAACP and our 140 HKMJ partners,
Yes, sir.
or whether we will have a narrow-minded, unjust, regressive agenda of the Koch brothers and the Art Pope and the Tea Party and that ultra-conservative brand of conservatism.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's what this is really about. So we raise this clarion call. If we ever needed to vote, we sure do need to vote now. Because we know voting, the right to vote, and the results and the consequences of voting are at the heart, somebody say the heart, of our democracy. Voting and the right to vote is not some casual endeavor. Voting is at the heart of our democracy.
Yes, sir.
And as a nation, we must admit that this history of voting in this country, Brother Miles, has been curious, contentious, and contorted. When you know this history, when you know where we are in history, then you understand why the NAACP and the civil rights community and anybody that's got good sense stands firm against any attempt to suppress, stagnate, or violate the fundamental principles of the 15th Amendment.
That's right.
The 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870, declared that the right of citizens of this United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The history of voting here in America is one in which white men, poor white men who didn't own land, were first not allowed to vote.
That's right.
When the Constitution was written, only white male property owners, listen to me young people, only 16% of the nation's population could vote when we wrote the Constitution. Women didn't even get the right to vote until 1920. And that was white women.
Yeah.
Y'all better talk to me. Huh? Young people didn't get the right to vote. Those who are 18 years old until much later in the 20th century.
That's right.
And we haven't even talked about what black people had to endure.
Yeah.
We were treated legally as 3/5 of a person.
That's right.
Until after the Civil War and the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment.
Right.
Here in North Carolina, between 1868 and 1872, African American leaders demanded three fundamental rights. They didn't just want freedom.
That's right.
They didn't just want freedom. They wanted full citizenship. And so they demanded three things. The right to public education, the right to sit in a jury box, and the right to put a ballot in a ballot box. That's 143 years ago. And with that ballot 143 years ago, joined in something called fusion politics. They worked with progressive whites. Between 1868 and 1898, there were more blacks in the General Assembly than today. But they weren't just blacks in the General Assembly. They joined with progressive whites, and they passed in the 1800s the most progressive voting laws, the most progressive education laws, the most progressive labor laws, the most progressive criminal justice laws, and the most progressive tax system. But 4 years after this kind of diversity dominated, 4 years after blacks and whites were trying to move away from the heritage of slavery, there was a violent backlash.
Go ahead.
People couldn't take it. They couldn't take this kind of diverse electorate. They couldn't take this kind of possibility of reconstructing America. They couldn't handle America becoming a more perfect union. And so there was a backlash. Oh my God. There was this racist backlash. The former slave owners couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle all those black faces in power.
That's right.
Working with white faces. They couldn't handle coalition politics. You don't know what you might get if you have coalition politics. You might get a black president. If you... So, in 1872, they organized the Klan. Not first as a violent group, but as a political party. The red shirts. And their goal was to redeem America. They said 143 years ago that too many black people in the electorate, working with white people in the electorate, building a more perfect union was a sin. And that the nation needed to be redeemed. Lord have mercy. And within 8 years, they worked to pass new laws, Jim Crow laws, to steal, segregate, isolate, and suppress the black vote and the promises of the 15th Amendment. The culmination of these efforts was in Wilmington. When on November the 10th, 1898, 3 to 5% of the city were killed. Blacks and whites were run out of town, and duly elected fusion politicians, black and white, were run out of town. Charles B. Aycock, after they had been shot in the street, he was rewarded the governorship in the 1900s. Newspapers and newspaper families participated in this. 2 years after the Wilmington riot, the last African American serving in the United States Congress, George White, was driven out of office. And another African American from North Carolina would not walk the halls of the U.S. Congress for 90 years. 1900,
Preach on.
the North Carolina General Assembly passed a constitutional amendment restricting the black vote, literacy tests, grandfather clauses, poll taxes were used to limit the power of the black vote. Supreme Court declared grandfather clauses unconstitutional in 1915, but North Carolina kept literacy tests.
All right.
And those literacy tests undermined the promises of the 15th Amendment.
That's right. That's right.
And black voting went down to nearly 0-0.
Lord have mercy.
Until the fight was waged in 1965 for the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah.
When the Voting Rights Act was passed, it only covered 40 counties in North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Though discrimination existed in 100 counties.
Yeah.
But the passage of the bill increased African American voting participation, made it possible for African Americans to be elected once again to office after nearly 100 years of exile.
All right.
In 1948, only 15% of the black population in North Carolina was registered.
My.
By 1962, it was only 36%. But after the Voting Rights Act, it went up to 51%.
Yeah.
In 1966 was the first time since the end of Reconstruction that a substantial number of blacks voted, 281,000.
Yeah.
But with that power, joined with progressive whites,
Yeah.
blacks elected Henry E. Fry
Yeah.
of Guilford County
Yeah.
to the State House in 1968. And Frederick Douglass Alexander
Yeah.
of Mecklenburg County
That's right. That's right.
as well to the state senate, and John Winters of Wake County to the state senate in 1974.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until 1974 that blacks returned to the General Assembly, a General Assembly that they used to almost have the majority in 100 years earlier.
My.
And ironically, Henry Fry, the scholars say,
Yeah.
became a state Supreme Court justice.
That's right.
Though he had been denied his right to vote in 1956 because he forgot the names of the signers of the Declaration of Independence and couldn't pass the literacy test.
Lord have mercy. Preach, preach, preach.
When you understand this history,
Yeah.
then you understand why those of us in the civil rights community will fight any attempt. We'll fight anybody under any guise, under any camouflage that ever tries to steal or suppress or isolate the power of our vote. We know what it looks like. We know what it smells like. We know what it feels like. And the sons and daughters of the civil rights community make North Carolina and America one promise. When it comes to our rights ordained by God and won by sacrifice, we will never, ever, ever, ever retreat. That's why. That's why we in the civil rights community fought to stop those who wanted to roll back same-day registration and early voting. It's come too hard. We can't go back now. That's why we're in court right now fighting this race-based redistricting plan passed by the Republican-led Tea Party supported leadership of the General Assembly. That's why we're going to win. Because voting is at the heart of our democracy. That's why we stood against those who tried to bring 21st century poll taxes through voter ID. And we fought them and stood with progressive legislators and supported our governor's veto. And we say no to any effort that would disenfranchise thousands, not just black people, but senior citizens and college students and African Americans. We have all we need: signature attestation. You got to sign your name. If you get caught lying, you get a 5-year felony. That's all we needed. That's all we needed since 1776. That's all we need now. In fact, it's utterly racist for you to say it worked up until 2008. But after 2008, something must have went wrong. They must have cheated. Y'all shout, we ain't cheat. All that happened was God made it so that hands that once picked cotton can now pick presidents and pick governors and pick legislators. We know our history. The right to vote, for us, is not just a constitutional issue. It's a right born out of struggle. Gift from God. We know where we've come from. 393 years since the first ship landed in Virginia, bring slaves here. 242 years since Crispus Attucks, first man to die fighting for America. 236 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. 225 years after the Constitution was adopted. 225 years since we were fractionized at 3/5 of a person. 163 years since Harriet Tubman escaped slavery. 160 years since Frederick Douglass said that any form of July 4th celebration was nothing but fraud and hypocrisy until you do right by the sons and daughters of slaves. 149 years since the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. 142 years since the ratification of the 15th Amendment. 57 years since they killed Emmett Till. 52 years since Greensboro students and Bennett students organized. 49 years since the murder of Mega. 49 years since the March on Washington. 47 years since Bloody Sunday, when blacks and whites, young and old, were beat like animals, but their blood and sacrifice changed the heart of the nation. 47 years since the Voting Rights Act. 44 years since the assassination of Dr. King. Voting is at the heart of our democracy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But I also want to suggest that there are issues facing us in this election that are matters of the heart. And how they are decided by those we vote for and elect will impact the very heart of who we are as a state and a nation. You know, down through the quarters of history, we've often heard about this dream. This dream that we claim is at the heart of all our claims as a country. Now, sometimes it's distorted, sometimes it's even abandoned, sometimes it's aborted. But the fundamentals, Carolyn, stays there. It was because of this dream at the heart of what the nation promised. Not what she's fulfilled, but what she's promised. That's why my father and many people in here were veterans. And they went to war in segregated armies. Gave first-class blood for second-class citizenship. Because they believed what America said in the heart of her founding principles. And that though she had not come where she ought to be, there was still something left in her heart.
That's right.
That's why my mother, who sits there today,
Teach me.
and my father left the North, where I would have went into integrated public schools and came back home and dared and risked putting me in segregated schools in Washington County.
Go ahead.
Because the schools didn't get integrated until 1971. And she's been there now nearly 40 years. Started out, could only be best in the county, but she could only be a secretary in the all-black school. Why did she do that? Why did she leave the Midwest, the northern Midwest, and come to the South? Because she and my father believed what this nation at least said was in her heart.
That's right.
And that maybe things would get better. John Winthrop of 1600s, in the 1600s, 100 years before we wrote the Constitution, he said this is what's got to be in the heart of any nation that's going to be great. He said the only way we can avoid a shipwreck and provide for our posterity is to follow the counsel of Micah. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before our God. He says, until we make each other our delight, we rejoice together, we mourn together, we labor together, and suffer together, and see each other as one community. Until then, we will have a shipwreck. But if we change and go in another direction, we will find that God is among us. And then we will be called the city that is set up on a hill.
That's right. That's right.
And all the eyes are
Yeah.
upon us.
Yeah.
And sometimes this, what is it supposed to be in the heart of the nation, sometimes it skips a beat.
It does.
Sometimes it's irregular.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even broken. But at the heart of our democracy
Yeah.
is this commitment. We the people of the United States,
Yeah.
in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility,
Yeah. Go ahead.
provide for the common defense,
That's right.
promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain
Yeah.
and establish. At the heart. Touch somebody, say at the heart.
At the heart.
At the heart, what we said on paper, and we need to hear this in this political season, at the heart of our democracy,
Yes, sir.
Marvin, is not freedom. Freedom ain't even mentioned
That's right.
in the preamble of the
Go ahead.
Constitution.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
At the heart, and write this right, News Observer, you got to hear everything I'm saying. At the heart, the first thing
Yeah.
the Constitution says is establish justice.
That's right. At the heart.
Because free, what?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because freedom alone is a daze, not a dream.
That's right.
Freedom alone is dangerous.
It is.
Freedom to do what?
That's right. Teach, preacher. Teach.
Freedom to go where?
Yeah.
Freedom for who?
Yeah.
At the heart of our democracy,
Yes, sir.
it is freedom,
That's right.
but it must be a freedom to establish justice.
Yeah. That's
Because where there is no justice, there can be no freedom. There can be no peace. That's why 143 years ago,
Teach.
when those same blacks and whites rewrote the Constitution, listen what they said 143 years ago. We hold these truths to be self-evident,
Yeah.
that all persons are created equal. This is North Carolina's Constitution.
Yeah.
Endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, living in the pursuit of and the enjoyment of the fruit of their own labor.
Yeah.
All political power, section 2, all political power is vested in and derived from the people.
Yeah.
All government of rights comes from the people and is founded upon their will and to be used only,
Yeah.
say only, for the good of the whole. My brothers, this is what this election is about.
That's right.
What's it really about?
Teach.
It's not even about whether, Romney's a Republican, Palmer's a Democrat, Romney's a Mormon, Obama is black. It's about what is your dream, Mr. Politician.
Yeah. That's right.
It's not about whether McCory comes from Charlotte
Yeah.
or Lieutenant Governor Dalton has been the Lieutenant Governor. No. What's your dream?
Yeah.
What's your vision?
Teach.
What's in your heart?
Teach.
And when you ask me what's my heart, I can't just open my mouth.
That's right.
I gotta show you my budget.
Yeah. That's right.
Show me your budget.
Yeah.
Show me your policies.
Yeah.
Show me your priorities.
Yeah.
Because where your treasury is,
That's right.
you can't be naive
That's right.
when you engage in political discourse. Oh, God.
Yeah.
We got to tell every politician, we know you want the title.
That's right.
We're clear you want the title.
Yeah.
We've seen your ads and we watched the money you spend, so we know you want the title. But since we're people of faith and convictions to a larger dream, since we need to know what's in your heart, we want to know if you get the title, what will be your testimony? That's what we're interested in. Do you know, Mr. Politician, that establishing justice and providing for the general welfare is at the heart of our democracy?
That's right.
If you know that, why are you scapegoating the poor and the needy?
Teach, preacher.
Don't engage in a racialized narrative
That's right.
that suggests that some people, black and brown people, are welfare folk. And that
Go ahead.
welfare and safety social nets are nothing but a way for black, brown, and poor people to run a scheme on America. You haven't even read your own Constitution. The general welfare is at the heart of our democracy. It's an American ideal.
Yes, it is.
It's not giving people something for nothing.
That's right.
But it's giving opportunity.
Yeah.
Understanding that those who are greatest among you must be serving.
Yes.
It always strikes me curious, NAACP, when those who deride social safety nets act as though they are part of some scheme
Teach.
that people are running on America. Strikes me strange, Reverend Gatewood and Dr. Brown and members of the executive committee, when people talk about rugged individualism as the way people make it to the top. That you get where you are through rugged individualism. You don't get any help from anybody. You know, just basic biology, you ought to know better than that.
That's right. Teach.
I mean, let me tell you what I mean. You didn't get here by yourself. You didn't have sex with yourself
That's right.
and get here.
That's right.
Somebody had to help you come into existence.
That's right.
I mean, that's just basic street level biology. People don't make it to the top by themselves. Somebody helped you somewhere. It's ahistorical to suggest that the poor are poor because they want to be or because it's of their own fault. Something wrong when some engage in political propaganda and race baiting. They call President Obama a welfare president, but more than 8 million people were added to the poverty rolls under George Bush before the Great Recession. You didn't call him a welfare president. And the truth is, if you know history and know the Constitution, America is a welfare nation. I mean, we sing it. We admit it in our songs.
That's right.
Oh, beautiful. For scacious skies. For amber waves of grain. For purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, watch this welfare. God has shed his grace. What you think grace is? Grace means you get something you couldn't earn yourself. Grace means somebody helped you. Grace! Great, we admit it.
Yes, sir.
America's a welfare nation. The only way America got ahead of European countries that existed 1,000 years before her was that America was built on our free labor.
That's it.
They call it slavery. I like to call it welfare.
That's right.
America wouldn't be where she is without 240 years of free labor. You give anybody 240 years of free labor. Now, if they don't make it after 240 years, then I'll take it from them. Mr. Conservative, you really want to talk with some of us who read about welfare? It was the former slave owners after the Civil War who then went to the government and begged the government for welfare to rebuild their plantation.
That's right. Yes, they did. Teach, brother.
And once they got the money, they then came against the tax policy because they didn't want the slaves to get their 40 acres and a mule. Mary Perry, they shouldn't have let me go to school. Because y'all told me to pay attention. You want to talk about welfare? It was under Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal. The AFDC was first passed.
That's right.
Aid to families with dependent children. But when it was first passed, black women couldn't get it.
That's right.
Social Security was passed. But Roosevelt had to cut a deal with Southern senators.
That's right.
They wouldn't pass it until he said those in the agrarian community working in fields
That's right.
and those that were domestic maids and servants could not pay into the system.
That's right.
And it was 17 to 19 years after the first Social Security
Right.
before some of your grandmothers and mine even got the opportunity to pay into the system. You really want to talk about welfare? And it's true today. Assistance in public housing was first given to white people.
That's right. That's right.
There are more white people on food stamps
That's right.
than Latinos and African Americans.
That's right.
So let's stop talking lies.
Yeah.
Let's stop the propaganda. And let's get down to the heart of America.
That's right.
Not who's on welfare, but why do we still need it in the greatest nation, the most prosperous nation in the whole world? Why is it that the incomes of those at the top go up and the incomes of those at the bottom go down? That's the heart of America. Because at the heart of our democracy, we must be concerned about the general welfare, the common good. That's why the NAACP says this election ain't about how somebody wears a suit. It ain't about how they perform in a 90-minute infomercial called a debate. That's right.
That's right. Teach, brother.
It ain't about whether they come to your freedom fund.
Teach.
It's not about how they come here.
Yeah.
We want to know, where do you stand? Say what's in your heart.
That's right.
You want to vote, where do you stand on economic sustainability?
Yeah.
Addressing poverty, jobs, full employment, labor rights.
Yeah.
Number two, where do you stand on public education equality for all children? Where do you stand on health care and ensuring Medicare and Medicaid? Where do you stand on dealing with the inequalities in our court system?
Yes, sir.
In our criminal justice system?
Yeah.
And where do you stand when it comes to defending and expanding voting rights?
Yes, sir.
We know you want the title.
Yeah.
But what's your testimony?
That's right. That's right.
What's in your heart?
Yeah.
Do you have a vision that cares for everybody? Do you believe every child deserves high-quality, constitutional, well-funded, diverse public education?
Yes, sir.
Or do you just want schools for some and privatize schools for others? Do you believe in living wages? Or do you believe the CEOs should get all the cash and the laborers should do all the work? Do you believe racism and discrimination is real, empirically documented? Or do you just think it's hype that civil rights organizations keep going to raise money? What's in your heart? Do you have an economic vision that Otto Schwammer of MIT says removes the blind spot of conscience and recognizes that we are all tied together? Do you see the faces like we did on the tour of those 1.6 million poor people in North Carolina alone? 600,000 children. What's in your heart if you want our vote? Do you want more money for the super wealthy? And more pain and hurt on the super poor? What's in your heart? Do you believe that we can use global technology and green economy and the target economic infrastructure investment and access to education and creative job creation to deal with poverty? Do you believe in your policies, in your heart, that the sick can have adequate health care? Do you believe in hate and division and mean attempts to segregate the human family based on false wedge issues of race and sexuality and color and class? Or do you believe in your heart that we can respect the dignity of all people, that we can love all people, that we can see everybody as God's creation?
That's right.
Somebody shout, what's in your heart?
What's in your heart? What's in your heart?
Is your dream myopic? I'm not looking at all this stuff you got these consultants. What's in your heart?
What's in your heart?
Are you myopic? Do you only see your kind in your class? Or is your vision peripheral? Do you just look up? See those on the top of the hill? Or do you look down,
Yeah.
see those in the valley?
Yeah.
And since so many people are trying to come in our community with claims of faith, we got to ask them, do you even know what's in the book?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Since you put your hand on it when you swear into office, have you read the book? Do you know what's in the heart of the Bible?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Huh? No need for you to send your paid, confused, indigenous dividers, preachers that you've hired in our community who look like us. To try to divide us. They had some of them doing slavery. We didn't listen to them either. They had some of them that came against Dr. King. We didn't listen to them either. Touch your neighbor and say, we know what's in the heart of the Bible. Ain't no need for conservative evangelicals to tell us what evangelicalism is.
All right. Go ahead, preacher. Go ahead.
We know what it is.
All right.
We're the originators of evangelism. It was a black man that got his instruction as Jesus was going to the cross, named Simon of Cyrene. We've been there. We know that any conservative evangelicalism that's not rooted in the prophetic social justice gospel of the scriptures is heretical.
That's right. That's
A
right.
confusing form of theology that endorses hate when the Bible says you can only endorse love.
That's right.
That says so much about what God says so little,
Yeah.
and so little about what God says so much. We know what's in the heart of the Bible.
That's right.
Don't we, deacons?
Yes, sir.
We know what moral values are.
Yes, we do.
That's the only way we've kept our sanity in the midst of a society that's often been so immoral toward us.
That's right.
You don't need to send anybody to the black community to tell us about Jesus. Yes, we know Jesus, and yes, we know him for ourselves. But since you raised the issue, God, I want some experts in the book to just stand up and wave your hands at me. Yeah, because there are more than 300 scriptures in the Bible that tell us what the heart says and what's on God's heart. So if you want to have a values discussion, we're glad to sit down with you. Because at the heart of faith, God says, if there's any poor man among you, Deuteronomy 15, in any town, don't harden your heart, but open your hand to your poor brother. In the heart of the Bible, Isaiah 10 says, woe unto those who make evil statutes and pass unjust decisions and deprive the poor of their rights. In Isaiah 58, in the heart of the Bible, it says this is the kind of religion that I want. It's not just fasting for a day, but if you want to please me, break the chains of injustice, pay people what they deserve, bring the poor in your house. And then we heard the conclusion of the matter. You want to know God's public policy agenda. It ain't about sexuality. It ain't about taking people's voting rights. It's not about giving the wealthy more in the name of freedom. But I heard Jesus say, when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was naked, did you clothe me? When I was a stranger, did you come see about me? When I was in prison, did you visit me? When I was sick, did you heal me? Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, if you want to make it to heaven, inasmuch as you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it unto God. Yeah, Lord. Well, I'm almost through. Oh, God. And that's why the heart of the matter is, any vision that leaves people out is not of God and is not worthy to be voted for. So let's be clear. This election is really about the heart of the nation. Whether we'll be a nation that has a heart. That's why it's so serious. That's why it's so critical. Because, Anthony, it's dangerous to mess with the heart. Because if you stop the heart,
Lord have mercy.
if the heart malfunctions, if the heart slows down, then the whole body gets sick. My wife is a medical professional, registered nurse for over 20 years. My personal doctor is back there in the audience. They tell me that whenever something happens to the heart, that whatever's going on the ward has to stop.
That's right.
Lord have mercy. Who took my water here? Has to stop. And all the nurses
That's right.
and all the doctors
That's right.
turn their attention and fix the heart.
That's right.
You gotta work on the heart. Can't let the heart go. In this election, history is calling us to work on the heart of America, to work on the heart of North Carolina. Because when you listen and you look on the screen, the heartbeat of our politic has gotten irregular. Never before have we seen so much money spent to kill the heart of America. Never before in history so much money being spent to try to kill the things that we fought so hard for. But the question is, if somebody is messing with the heart, touch your neighbor and say, it's praying time. Because we got some work to do. If the heart stops, the body stops. So how do you work on the heart? Touch your neighbor and say, how do you work on the heart? I'm glad you asked, because I asked my wife, and I heard her say,
All right.
somebody's got to call a code. And when the code is called, everybody has got to do their part. When the code is called, everybody's got to get together, focus their attention. When the code is called, somebody's got to go get a defibrillator. Because even if the heart stops, you don't stop working on the heart. Because the defibrillator has the ability to provide a shock that can bring the heart back to life. Well, the heart of this nation is in trouble, and your vote is the defibrillator. It's in trouble. Somebody wants your health care. It's in trouble. Somebody wants your Medicare. It's in trouble. Somebody wants your education. It's in trouble. Somebody wants your labor rights. It's in trouble. Somebody wants your voting rights. Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, call a code. Say, neighbor, shout 911. Say, neighbor, we need everybody. Touch them and say, if we ever needed to vote, we sure do need to vote now. Yeah. Tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, it's time to shock the nation. Bring them down a little bit so I can see your face. Say, neighbor, our vote is a social defibrillator. It's time to shock the nation. If we vote at full strength, we'll shock the nation. I feel like preaching now. Yeah. If the civil rights community stands up, we'll shock the nation. 1.5 million of us in this state alone. We can shock the nation. Our foreparents, they beat slavery. They shocked the nation. They beat Jim Crow. They shocked the nation. They beat the KKK. They shocked the nation. Harriet Tubman didn't have much, but she got 500 out of slavery. She shocked the nation. Tell your neighbor, call a code. It's time to shock the nation. Email everybody you know. It's time to shock the nation. Text everybody you know. It's time to shock the nation. Knock on doors. It's time to shock the nation. If you can tweet, 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 tweet. It's time to shock the nation. Nobody gave us this right. We died for it. We fought for it. We bled for it. We marched for it. It's time. It's time to shock the nation. Don't worry about the Tea Party. Shock the nation. Don't worry about the Coke money. Money can't cast a ballot. It's time to shock the nation. We come from, listen to me now, we come from a faith tradition that says if my people do what we're supposed to do, we can shock the nation. We come from a tradition that says weeping may endure for a night, but hang on in there. You can shock the nation. We hear the word that says 1 can chase 1,000, 2 can chase 10,000. We can shock the nation. We have a nation with an irregular heartbeat. It's dangerous, but we're going to trust in God because I heard the God we serve. He's a heart fixer and a mind regulator and a way maker. Put your hands on your chest and say, I feel something wrong with the heart of the nation, but I gotta vote. I'm gonna shock the nation. Boom, boom. Seems like I feel a pulse in this room. Boom. Seems like everything gonna be all right. Tell your neighbor, say neighbor, neighbor, neighbor. It's time to shock the nation. God. Put your placards down a minute. Touch your neighbor on the shoulder and say, in this fight, you need some life. So let me lay my hands on you and pray a prayer. Lord, shock my brother. Lord, shock my sister. Lord, if you will, send the power of the Holy Ghost in this room, because it's time to shock the nation. Somebody give God a praise. Everybody got a plaque. I've got a feeling everything's gonna be all right. And we shock the nation. Oh, Lord. One more time.